Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, episode number 135 today for the Monaco Grand Prix in Season 8. If you guys did miss the previous one at the Spanish Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. A difficult race for us, I mean a difficult one for a lot of people really, as we had a shock winner, a shock 1-2 really, with Scuderia Ferrari coming back from a Q1 knockout, for an amazing win with Giovinazzi, and to be fair as well, George Russell getting on the podium and once again showing what he can do in that Alfa Romeo. In terms of the championship, didn't change that much. We're still there in second place ahead of Lando Norris, 3 points ahead now to him as we're able to get past him. I think he actually finished out the points even, as it was a very tough day in the office for a few people around Catalonia. Ocon did score a few points, but he did close the gap a little bit, but he's still looking the most consistent I've ever seen him in the series so far, especially also as a team McLaren, both, even though Hamilton's not scoring as many points, he's still getting a few there. He did get a podium at Bahrain, which helped out, 19 points on the board. But the big news for us as a team, the good positive news out of Spain, was that Mick Schumacher got a P4 and finally looked like he was maybe comfy with this car and was able to actually attack. So far, we've seen he's good over one lap, it would seem, and in clean air. But then in the traffic, he's found it hard to overtake cars, has been overtaken when he gets some tyre wear. But at Spain, once he got on that clean air, he first of all, walked away from me, basically, like it was nothing, but then actually went on to actually make some really aggressive moves and make his way from what was, at one point, I think, P8 or P9, up into P4, so a really good day in the office for Mick. Obviously, for us, we did some damage limitation with, the 2-stop v the 1-stop, made the most of it, but it was a bit of a poor result for us, but it didn't really matter too much with Lando being behind out the points and Ocon not scoring too highly either, so overall, can't be too upset. It was just the way it is. We're going to have some of those races, but we're going to try and bounce back a little bit and see what we can do around Monaco. Now, this will be a real test, really, I guess, of Mick to see how he is in the car, because Monaco, it really is all about the driver. They can make that last bit of difference, especially so here on Saturdays. We're now into Q1, and this is, of course, one of the most important qualifying sessions of the entire season, really. So we want to try and do the best job we can to set ourselves up for the race tomorrow. But right now, the name of the game is just trying to get through into the second part of qualifying. We had a first run, and I wasn't too confident about it because things were very tight on these the timing standings in the main menu when I was sat in the garage. So I decided to go out again for another run. You can see the car is a little bit loosey-goosey on the rear end, having to dance the car around the final few corners. But eventually, we will get up into P9 and get through into Q2. There was a massive difference between Russell and Latifi, the two Alfa Romeos. Russell with a really nice P4 there, and he's like a good second or so faster than Latifi. And our teammate Schumacher looking pretty quick as well, only a couple of hundredth or thousandth of a second behind Lando Norris in P1. Obviously didn't really matter because it's the first session, but still a good start. So let's hope Mick can continue that, and we can both obviously qualify well, because obviously we usually speed up a little bit more in Q2 and Q3, just the way it is. Q1 is effectively my mini little practice session basically for the race weekends now, as we get on into 8 seasons in. Don't really bother with the Friday practice anymore, as it's not really worth my while anymore. But here we are then into the second part of qualifying, trying to get through hopefully on just one lap. The hope is so we can have 2 sets of soft compound tyres in the top 10 shootout. Unfortunately, that will not be possible because we were down in P8 when we did our first run. So I just thought, again, didn't feel that confident that we're going to get through into the top 10 shootout. So we go again. But the second lap, although we went purple first sector, really loose on the rear as we enter the tunnel there. So we gained minimal time. We get a bit more though through swing pool, as we lost a lot of time on the first lap through there. And so we gained about 8 tenths to go. Second fastest in this session overall. Giovinazzi, last race's race winner, shows his hand, going fastest of all. Schumacher through in P6. We got a surprise, a very big surprise knockout though, from Lando Norris in the Red Bull. He's out in P12. Russell also, I thought Russell was looking really strong now for Romeo. He did really well last season, I think, in qualifying around here. So both those two, a bit of a shock. And also Albon, to be fair, in the Racing Point car, he's out in P13, whereas his teammate Stroll is up in P3. So we got a few teammates there being knocked out. Sainz is also through into P4. So big shock there for Norris. And Ocon, he's in P10. He was only only a couple of thousandths away from being knocked out as well. So my two main championship rivals at this early stage could have both been out. Lando is out, Ocon's through, so he's been saved by the skin of his teeth. So let's now see how this top 10 shootout goes on. We're joining the onboard right now of our second flying lap. The first one was on a scrub set of soft tyres, i.e. an old set, I mean. So I didn't bother kind of showing you guys that because it was a very slow time. We're in P6. To be fair, we did actually go faster than a few other people, but I suspect they got held up in a bit of traffic, or maybe they're also on an old tyre. But here we are then. This is the fresh set run. Purple first sector. We've gained 3/10 in the first sector, another 3/10 in the second. We've gone 2 purples. Could this be the pole position at Monaco, the coveted position on a Saturday, and prime position for tomorrow's race? Through the last few bends, a little bit understeering to the last bend, where we still get up by 1 second as we go to the line across it. I think that may have been pole I saw on the left. Oh no, it's second place, and who got pole? It was Mick Schumacher. Oh, how about that? Mick Schumacher is on pole position for the Monaco Grand Prix by good, very nearly perfect little quarter of a second ahead of myself. 2.44. What a lap then from Schumacher, because I thought our lap was pretty special. 2 purples there, gaining 3/10 each. I think I lost maybe about a 10th or 2 in the last corner because we were up by 1.1, but then having to understeer and kind of let off the throttle to not hit the wall on the left lost us that 10th that we almost gained. So we may have been even closer, or we could have got pole maybe if it wasn't for that last little section of the lap. But fair play, Mick Schumacher was on fire last episode at Spain, and looks like now that AI momentum is maybe coming through for him, and he's got that confidence, and he's on pole position, and our car is looking supremely quick. We're 6/10 faster than the next car, Leclerc in third, Gasly fourth. So it could be myself v Schumacher all race long, and you know, with Monaco, it's going to be a very, very tough and closely fought contest, with everything being so close to with the cars being so close to the wall, being so hard to overtake. Tyre wear is going to be a big factor as well, and the strategy with traffic. Let's go to the grid, but it's a front row lockout for the first time for aarava Archer Racing in Season 8.
Formula One returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino, first opened in 1863. And, of course, a certain road race, first held here in 1929. There's no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. We're on the French Riviera once more this weekend at the 2-mile-long Circuit de Monaco. The cars will climb around 40 metres up the hill, past the casino, and then descend downwards towards the harbour through Sector 2. It's a very short run from pole position to the first of the 19 corners at Saint-Devote. And don't expect to see much overtaking here today. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's have a chat about Williams. We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
It doesn't look promising for them so far. And if the new regs have hit them as hard as we think, well, I suspect they may need a few late nights at the factory to get back on track.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Mick Schumacher lines up on pole position, and the owner-driver alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Gasly, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Stroll, Ocon, Sainz, Hamilton, and Daniel Kvyat, Norris, Albon, George Russell, and Bottas, Magnussen, De Vries, and Guan Yu Zhou, and Nicholas Latifi, Matsushita, Verstappen, Giotto, and Jack Aitken. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Alright, so here we are then on the front row for the first time this season, and it is a very doom and gloom day here in Monaco on Sunday. Overcast conditions for the entire race. Hopefully that doesn't mean there's any rain on the way, because that could definitely be a spanner in the works. If it's not going to be raining, it's all dry, I think this will be just a straight fight. Maybe with me and Schumacher looking at the pace we had over one lap. Strategy-wise, indicated one stop soft to medium, but we know that the two two-stop, if you get through the traffic, the two-stop can be a bit quicker because the tyre wear can be such an issue at the end of the stints. But let's see. But I suspect maybe with the pace of our car, if me and Schumacher get away cleanly and we pull away, we could definitely make the two-stop work and, you know, have enough pace to completely maybe outright jump the cars behind us, even with the pit stop maybe. But, you know, that's obviously just wishful thinking. Let's see how it goes, though. But the first order will be trying to get a good start, because this start could be crucial. If we get into first place at turn 1, that could be checkmate. That could be it, because it's that hard to overtake in Monaco. And if we're going up against our own teammate in the same car, that's going to be even harder to overtake, because there's not that kind of differentiating pace difference. He's going to be in the same machinery. So more than any other race on the calendar, this is going to be a very important 5 red lights. And lap number 1, here we go to the start of the Monaco Grand Prix. The lights are out and we're underway. There's a bit of wheel spin for Schumacher. We get a good start. We're going to be side by side maybe to turn 1. Schumacher's deep and he nearly gets us into the wall. We have to get out of that, and we're down to P5. Schumacher going deep and almost putting us in the wall, and we had to step out of that, and that's put us down the order. We're now down to P6. We go side by side with Stroll. Bit of contact with the Canadian, and the Red Bull is side by side with the McLaren behind, but Schumacher leads. It's Leclerc in second, Gasly, and then Giovinazzi as we go in towards the hairpin. Luca Giotto is out of this session, and that will be the full course safety car. And we actually have a bit of a cheeky overtake there under yellows of the Ferrari there, as the Ferrari ghosted, and so is technically not in the kind of system when the yellow flag comes out. So I think I actually gained a position there a little bit cheekily under yellows. But this is then we watch on Sainz in the McLaren, and oh, look at that, look at the Red Bull there. I think the Red Bull was also out. So Giotto's out, the Williams car, but it looks like Carlos Sainz is out as, oh, he clouts the barrier on the left and he's out. And I suspect that I think that's the real reason the safety car came out, because I don't think Giotto crashed in a very, annoying spot there. So the Red Bull being out at the hairpin, that is why we've got a full course yellow. But just before we get onto the restart, let's have a look then at a little replay and re-watch this turn 1, lap 1, because this, as I said, could be very crucial, even more so now that I've not only just not got first place, I've dropped positions, but going into turn 1, this was so close. You can see Schumacher over the curb, and he's going a little bit left, and then he only just makes the corner, really. And if I had continued and committed fully and didn't start braking when I did, I think we would have definitely gone into the wall. But then even when I tapped the brakes, as we're going in so fast, I started to lock up, so that made my corner even worse. And that's how we lost those positions. So it was close. There's no contact made, and obviously Schumacher's allowed to, hold his line and do what he wants. It's a case of us having to react to that and, survive the situation there. Again, I talked about this at Spain, about being patient. I felt like maybe in previous seasons, I maybe would have committed to that, and that could have turned out a lot worse. So, we've got that instinct now after a couple of seasons. We've got really comfy now with this game, 8 seasons in, where we can spot, where we just need to back out of it, play the safe card, and play the long game. It's a long season. We've still got plenty to go in this race as well, and with the pace of our car, I'm hoping we can come back through this one as we're into P4, also with that extra overtake we made on the Ferrari. But we're here on the restart then, looking to get, well, just trying to keep up with Gasly. It's a decent restart if you look behind us, but then ahead of us, Gasly actually got a really good getaway, and it's an equally strong restart then from Schumacher, who now leads the way as we go on a lap or two later. Leclerc in second, chasing after, then a bit of a gap to Gasly, and Gasly's holding us up a little bit as we're not right on the back of him quite yet, but we're just kind of getting back into the groove of things. But Gasly is already, I think, going to start holding us up for sure as the gap grows to Leclerc in second. Behind us then is Giovinazzi ahead of, I think this is Ocon and then Hamilton, the two McLarens together. Of course, that was the Ferrari we overtook kind of cheekily under the safety car. And then a long way back in the traffic behind an Alpine is Lando Norris, of course, got knocked out in Q2. Him and Verstappen actually are further back, so I don't know if they got caught up in the traffic or incidents, some ghosting in the safety car, because I think Verstappen went down the order maybe from the safety car situation. So both him and Lando in traffic, out the points at the moment. So that's going to be a tough one to swallow for the Brit in the Red Bull cars. Well, here we are, lap number 5, and very close to hitting the curb on the inside of the last corner. But you can see we're almost pushing Gasly through the corners now as the DRS is finally enabled off the restart of the safety car, and he's having a bit of a twitch on the rear end as we go through into swimming pool, and you can see I'm literally now pushing him through that corner. Can we go for the Rasgas dive bomb? No! Gasly places his car perfectly. You saw that he invited us in, but the car was just placed perfectly where it was just a little bit too narrow to get the nose in to make that audacious attempt. And we're setting red sectors everywhere. The gap is now 3.5 to Leclerc. Gasly is holding us up. We need to get past him. We are much quicker than this Mercedes right now. Can we go for another dive? And it's again so close, but just not close enough. And that time it was even closer to disaster, as we had to have a bit of a double lock up there just to slow us down to not hit the back of the Mercedes car. But this is the exact opposite of what we need. Gasly is very much frustrating me right now, and at this point in the cockpit I was getting a little bit annoyed of what we could do here. Lap number 10, the tyre wear is kicking in, and at this point I'm thinking I think we should just pull the trigger and come in. I'm not too sure what everyone's doing. I kind of get the vibe that I think this race, I think this season, I kind of get the feeling we're all going to be a bit stubborn and try the one stop, but I still want to come in earlier than everyone to try the undercut because I know how powerful it is, especially around here with the tyre wear levels. We just need to hope that I've timed this correctly in terms of getting into some clean air, but for sure I think this is the only chance, or the best chance we have of jumping Gasly, because to be fair to him, he was doing a fantastic job. I've actually never seen an AI defend that well. He was placing his car literally pin perfectly in every position needed just to stop me getting that space to make the dive on the inside or the outside of, you know, Mirabeau, for example, and stuff like that, as we come out just in between Albon and Magnussen. Now, Magnussen in the Haas car, we should be able to get past him relatively quickly as we go around the outside into the inside of Casino Square. It's a lovely little move and a crucial one, because now look at all this lovely clean air ahead of us. On lap number 11 into 12, there's no one ahead of us, and we can get our foot down, get our head down, and there we go. Look at the bottom left. Gasly is miles behind. Look at the tyre wear he's faced on that in-lap there, and the great out-lap, but now the yellow flags are out on the very next lap. Lap 12, the full course. Yellow is out. Giovinazzi is out this Grand Prix. Oh! He spins the rear end out. The left end twitched into the barrier, and just like Carlos Sainz, he clouted the barrier with his rear left. And also Lando Norris! Lando Norris is out at the same time as the safety car. The safety car's already out at this point, and Lando is going very slow out the tunnel, and he's going to retire with a mechanical failure. And that was literally, we were already under the safety car, so that would have definitely caused the safety car, I think, with Lando there. So double cause there for Burt Mylander to come out and drive the safety car. So we are now in P3 then. Obviously, we did jump Gasly, so that makes sense. Schumacher ahead of us in P2. Leclerc is in first place now, but he is yet to pit. Look at the top left. He's on the soft compound. So Ferrari, once again, making a very questionable strategy choice. I don't know why Leclerc has not come in under this safety car. I know clearly, I think Ferrari want to try the one stop then with Leclerc for sure. But even then, there's no point coming in after the safety cars come in, but that's exactly what Leclerc, I think, is going to do here. So that's going to be, well, it's going to take him completely out of the race win contention, unfortunately for him. That's going to mean it very much will be then me v Schumacher once again, once that Ferrari gets out of the way. But right now we're focusing on the restart then on lap 15, and will Leclerc actually come in on this lap? No, he doesn't, so he does stay out for one flying lap then out of the yellows, and he actually gets a really good getaway. We get a bit of a poor one and a left for dust off the restart, but we do catch back up into the tunnel, because look how slow that Ferrari is now into the brake zone. You can just see that we're just gaining and gaining, and Schumacher is getting frustrated. You can see him moving a little bit left and right, and we've closed up a lot. We had to lock up there just to stop ourselves hitting Schumacher. Gasly's in the mix as well now, as we're a little bit close on the outside. Can we do this? Schumacher gets held up by Leclerc. We're side by side through the last corner. No, we got on the curb. The rear end stepped, and Schumacher gets the acceleration once again. The German gets the better exit, and we're foiled by our rear end stepping out and having to take some avoiding actions. We go defensive with Gasly, but that was so close. Leclerc was coming in for his pit stop, and Schumacher got held up. We had the opportunity for the second time in this race to get the lead, but look at this. Schumacher really got his nose in, to be fair to him, in the last bend, and then our rear end stepped out because our rear left hit that curb. That's very 3D, but look at this. He really sent it to the last corner. Like, I gave him the room, but he really got the nose into the point where I had to give him the room. Otherwise, there simply would have been a crash, because we watched it back again. At this point, if I don't make sure I'm giving him enough room, there will be a collision here. There will be a crash, either for me or for him. And then here you can see that my car skips and hops a little bit on the left-hand side. That's where my rear left hit the curb, and so we got the poor exit. And so Schumacher retakes the lead of the Monaco Grand Prix. He sets a fast up the Grand Prix, so you can see, like in Spain, in clean air, he is finally looking comfortable and very quick in our car. We're in second place. Gasly is in third. You've got some cars out of sync of the Grand Prix in P4 and 5 right there on the hard compound tyre. So now in the race, if we are indeed all being stubborn and going to the end on this one stop and trying to eke out our tyres, we've got myself and Schumacher. It's going to be a very close fight, as we're just going to have to keep the pressure on him. But look at this, Ocon with a lovely little move out the tunnel. The dive down the inside for the McLaren, or the Alpine car, to get himself up into P4 on the road as he gets through the Alpine on hard tyres. Yet to pit in this Grand Prix, but on towards lap number 23 then, and you can see we are still behind Schumacher, looking at that rear wing with Honda slapped on the back. And for all the laps that have gone by since you last saw our onboard, this has been the situation. We've been staring at the back of him, and Schumacher, although we're putting him under pressure, he's doing enough just to keep it ahead. And look at the top left though, Ocon is pitting then from P4, so Ocon's pulled the trigger. He's gone for the 2-stop early on lap 25, so will this maybe force us into the 2-stop? I don't know, because Ocon's quite a fair bit behind us. You know, we've got a nearly 7.8 gap then to Gasly, 7.9 that is on the exit through the tunnel, and then there's a much bigger gap to Matsushita. So do we need to pull the trigger? Are we going to continue this one-stop stubbornness? I'm not too sure. I feel like we just need to cover off and do whatever Schumacher does, because, you know, he's the man we're racing. So Ocon's pulled the trigger early for the 2-stop. For once, the AI are actually quicker to the 2-stop than I am here, and I'm the one just kind of eking out the tyres and looking to just match my teammate here, and just, I don't know, I'm just kind of seeing and waiting to see what happens, basically, because the Monaco Grand Prix win is right in front of us, maybe, and Schumacher slowing the hairpin. Can we get down the inside? No, it's so close to the wall, and we try to ride the curb on the inside. Schumacher was so slow into that corner that we almost went round the outside of him at the hairpin. Look at how close this is, though, on the replay. Look how close we got to the wall there. My rear right could have been sheared off, just like Giovinazzi and Sainz had earlier on in the Grand Prix. So we are cutting this fine here and getting very close to the walls at Monaco. But here we are, lap 29. This would be really the ideal time to make, if we were going to make the pit stop for this 2-stop, this would be the last good time to do it with 10 laps to go. But we're going to continue on, and we're going to make this 1-stop work, and all of us are. So Ocon is the only man in the top flight here that pulled the trigger early for the 2-stop, which is very odd. But here we are then. The tyre wear, I gotta say, is very, very high now. We're now towards the end of the Grand Prix, the last few laps here. It's still Schumacher in the lead. We're in P2, and Gasly's in. Gasly comes in with only, I think, 3 laps to go, or 2 laps to go this is. Gasly's in for the soft compound. He doesn't think we can make it to the end as we cut back to our onboard here. We're now lap 38, so we've got 2 laps to go, including this one. Look at the tyre wear, 81% on the left rear, over 75%, and you're in the random puncher region of the game mechanics. So this is, we're all kind of risking it here with a puncher. Gasly's out, though, on the set of soft tyres, and he's still come out in third. So there's such a big gap from Gasly to the next car that Gasly's pit, and he's come out in third place. So maybe me and Schumacher should both come in just for the sake of safety, not wanting a puncher maybe at this stage of the Grand Prix, as we're pushing on to still keep up with Schumacher. But no, we've lost the rear end and we've hit the wall. How are we not out? How are we not out this Grand Prix? The F1 gods have looked down upon us, and we've somehow not crashed out the Grand Prix, and we had to do a very slow 3-point turn to not break our front wing. But Schumacher is in then. He's in for a late pit stop onto the last lap of the Grand Prix. I think we should stay out. We should risk this. We could get the win maybe as we come through the last bend. No, oh, we're understeering into the wall, and we've now broken our front wing. Ironically, we spent so much time spinning the car around not to break our front wing, but we broke it in the rear end because the rear end is so poor. We're on like 85% tyre wear now, and now we've got a broken front wing, and there's Schumacher in the distance. But is there enough time? Could we still do this? Could we limp home to the end? We've got 1 lap to go. We've got a yellow front wing on the front left there. We've got tyres at 88%. We're going to be at 90% wear probably. But Schumacher's on fresh tyres, and he's already catching up to us here. We're that slow with the tyre wear and also the slightly broken wing that Schumacher's there. Can we park the the car on the apex. We're going to try our best. We're defending from Schumacher right now, but through the tunnel, he's got the exit.
What has happened? We need to know who's going to come out in front as we see Lance Stroll hitting the barrier and going over the curb one more time. I think.
And Schumacher's done it. He's passed us. Why did we cut to that, TV director? What was going on there? Why did we not see the live action as we now look at a replay of what went on? Obviously, bad tyre wear, broken front wing, and Schumacher comes through. You can see we're weaving about there, and that's a really like an iconic little defensive shot. But then look at that on the exit. That's not even anything to do with the front wing. That's literally just the tyre wear, because in a straight line, the front wing damage is not going to hurt our acceleration. But Schumacher just has the acceleration on the fresher compounder tyres. We're literally going to be at 90% wear on the rear left tyre as we limp home in second place. And oh my goodness me, we've lost the rear end again. We're having an absolute howler here. The tyres are so shot, and so now we're reversing at Monaco because that's the only way I can get that car around, and we've somehow managed to survive that again, and we're gonna come home for a spectacular second place. It's a 1-2 for aarava Archer Racing at the Monaco Grand Prix. And what a crazy 1-2 it is. Mick Schumacher wins his first race for the team. It's his second win overall in his F1 career, following on from that bonkers win he had at Singapore, remember. But for us, we've somehow finished in second place, having spun twice in the last lap or two.
So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
Well, I'm thoroughly exhausted after the excitement of that race, but I'm making it up there, and it's great to see them make their way out onto the podium. And it's great to see them make their way out onto the podium.
So there we have it, a 1-2 for aarava Archer Racing team, and a pretty spectacular one, a very entertaining one, I think, in the last two laps there. All of us very stubborn, trying to do the one-stop. In the end, a lot of them bailed and did a two-stop right at the end. We carried on, we tried it, we risked it, and it didn't work out. Sometimes those things happen. I think there could have been a chance. We could have maybe defended a little bit better, possibly, if we didn't have the broken wing. But at the same time, you saw the traction difference before the tunnel was ridiculous. So I think Schumacher may have still got us right at the end of the lap, to be honest, because the tyres were that short. I mean, it was over 90% wear on the left rear, but it doesn't matter because we lead the championship because of that, because Ocon was actually out the points. He too stopped early and actually got penalised for it and got held up in traffic. So we lead the championship now ahead of Ocon and Lando Norris, and we are now top of the championship in the constructors as well with Mick's win. So he's come good at the right time. We're building some momentum, and hopefully we can hold it and we can see Schumacher right up there for the continued few episodes, and hopefully that doesn't go away. It's not a temporary sort of thing, because I feel like it's been really great to see him be this punchy, really, at Spain especially, and now with a win. I'm sure a lot of you guys will be really excited to see that after maybe a bit of a slow start from him, as a lot of you were excited to have him as a final teammate here in Season 8. But if you guys did enjoy this bonkers Monaco GP race, then be sure to hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.